will work to gain his reputation back. The play in many ways then is often read from three perspectives. Let's list these quickly in our final comments. 1. The play is often studied as a work of psychology, the individual mind. Many viewers, for example, will take a position, as I'm sure you will as well, on Abigail and what is wrong with this girl, or any number of the other characters involved. For example, John Proctor could stop this insanity early on, but he would have to admit that he slept with Abigail, publicly. Of course, that's a serious problem in the community called the Puritan times, and so he remains silent. And in remaining silent, he allows for this entire insanity to unfold. Number 2, the play is often studied from the position or the perspective of sociology. Not psychology, the study of the individual mind, but sociology, the study of groups. Many have seen this play as a wonderful, stunning, frightening, some even call it horrifying, analysis of group or mass hysteria. The ways in which people can get really fired up and then they can do crazy without realizing that it's crazy. Only after the fact do they kind of go, as a group, do they kind of go, whoa, that was totally insane. Finally, the play has often been studied from its historical perspective. You've got the 300 years, as we said, distance between what's happening in the 1950s with Joseph McCarthy and his attempt to try and go out and find in America anyone associated with communism or the Communist Party and bring those people up in front of Congress and scare them to death and threaten them with imprisonment. You have all of that happening. And Arthur Miller says, whoa, we've been through this before in our nation's history. Way, way back before we were a nation in the Salem witch trials. And so what he does is he goes back in time and he looks at an earlier time and he says, it's kind of a template to understand what's going on right now. And he writes the play. A couple of quick observations about that. 1, the play is not well received because people see that he's trying to make a political statement, even though, obviously, the term communism or McCarthyism is never mentioned in the play. People very quickly start to realize, what you're doing is you're using something that happened back in 1692 to critique or comment on what's happening now. The other comment we should point out, and we saw it already in our reading, is that after the fact, finally when McCarthy and the whole insane project is defeated, people looked back at it and went, how could we have been so easily duped into this kind of hysteria? It continues to be one of the questions of the play. And of course, this play continues to be popular because you can always see groups starting to behave in kind of mass hysterical ways. And the minute that it happens, we find ourselves going, whoa, how can we so easily as humans be led down the path one more time? So the historical study is always a compelling one as well. Finally, this play is always problematic for textbook company makers to know where to put the play. Because there's 2 places you can stick this play. 1, you can stick it into the textbook early on in American studies. So for example, when you hit the time of the Puritan era and that 1692 time and all of that, you can obviously put the play there. So for example, along with our study of John Edwards' Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, we study this play because this play is set during the time of the Puritan epoch. Right? The other place you can put the play is where your current textbook company has decided to put the play. And that is, of course, in your textbook around the time of the 1950s. It makes total sense. A, that's when the play was created and performed. B, it had everything to do with the political climate of its day, namely McCarthyism and all of that. What our curriculum has decided, what we've decided in our English department as for your curriculum at Worland High School, is to teach the play earlier in American history as a work that is going to be set within that time, allowing us to be able to study some of the elements of the Salem witch trial from that perspective. Then we come back to it again later in our junior study to make some observations about the McCarthy era and the ways in which this play comments on that as a work of great American literature. So in other words, what we're saying is we study it both as both a historical document as well as a political document, if you get my drift. Okay? Which is why you are, if you're sitting in a junior A class, you're with a volume called Volume 2, where this play is on pages 11, 20, and following. Okay? So that will kind of help to explain why it is the case that we are studying the play in the order in which we are studying it. Well, enough said. Let's now turn to Act 1 of the play. The play is divided into 4 acts. And we'll turn now to Act 1 of the play, and we'll begin to analyze and critique right away what exactly is going on. I hope that you will enjoy the study of Arthur Miller's play, Crucible. Thank you.